You've been told your life is missing something. It isn't. Your life is carrying something. There's a difference. Most people spend 30 years chasing what they think they need, when the real breakthrough comes from setting down 5 things they never agreed to pick up. And by the end of today, you could be lighter than you've been in a decade. Let me ask you something before we go any further. When was the last time you woke up and the first feeling wasn't weight? Not sadness, not failure, just weight. That heaviness that has no name and no obvious cause. You get out of bed and it gets out of bed with you. You go to work and it goes to work with you. You sit down at the end of the day, finally still, finally quiet, and there it is, sitting across from you like it's been waiting all along. Most people assume that weight is life, that it's just what being an adult feels like, that it's the natural tax you pay for having responsibilities and a past and people who depend on you. It isn't. Here's what I want you to consider today, and I want you to sit with it for a second before you argue with it. A large portion of what you're carrying right now was never yours to carry. Someone handed it to you when you were young and you didn't know you could say no. Someone left it with you when they walked out and you assumed it was yours to hold. Or you picked it up yourself, years ago, for a reason that made sense then and stopped making sense a long time ago. And you kept carrying it, not because it helped, but because you forgot you were holding it. Music. Now let's talk about the cost. Because there is one, and it's steeper than you think. Every year you carry what you don't need. You pay for it in a currency you can't earn back. You pay in energy. You wake up already tired, and the day hasn't taken anything from you yet. You pay in attention. You're sitting across from someone you love and you're not actually there, because a portion of your mind is still occupied by something that happened in 2014. You pay in courage. The opportunity comes and you don't reach for it, not because you can't, but because your arms are full. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. You pay in time. Not the time you think, not the hours. The seasons. There are whole seasons of your life you will not get back, and the reason you spent them the way you did wasn't a lack of desire or a lack of talent. It was load. Stay the way you are for 5 more years, and I can tell you exactly what happens. Nothing dramatic. That's the trap. Nothing dramatic ever happens. You just wake up one morning older, in roughly the same place, with the same 5 weights, telling yourself the same story about why now still isn't the right time. The tragedy of a heavy life is never sudden. It's slow. It's quiet. It's a series of days that felt survivable, added up into a decade you'd trade almost anything to have back. So let's do something about it. Today. Not next month, not after the holidays, not once things calm down. Because things don't calm down. That's not how life works. You calm down, and then things look different. Here's the picture I want you to hold on to for the next half hour. You are walking a long road, and you're carrying a pack. You've been walking so long you don't remember putting the pack on. And every so often, someone comes along and drops something in it. A comment, a disappointment, a version of who you were supposed to be. And you keep walking, because that's what you do, you keep walking. The road hasn't gotten steeper. You've gotten heavier. And the strange, beautiful thing about a pack is that you can open it. You can look inside. You can take things out and set them on the ground and walk away and nothing bad happens. That's what today is. We're going to open the pack. 5 things come out. Let's start. The first thing you're going to set down today is the version of you that other people wrote. Let me describe something and you tell me if it sounds familiar. There's a way you behave around your family that isn't quite how you behave anywhere else. A slightly older, slightly smaller version of you shows up when you walk through that door. Or there's a role you got assigned somewhere around age 9, the responsible one, the difficult one, the quiet one, the one who was good at math, the one who wasn't, and 30 years later you're still auditioning for a part nobody's casting anymore. That's what I mean by the version other people wrote. Somebody described you once, and you believed them, and you've been performing that description ever since. Here's why almost everyone fails to put this one down. Because the description was accurate. That's the trick. It was true when it was written. You were the shy one at 11. You were the one who fell apart at 23. The description isn't a lie, so you can't dismiss it as a lie. And because you can't dismiss it, you assume you have to keep living inside it. But accuracy about the past is not a prediction about the future. A photograph is accurate. It's also finished. The second reason people fail here is subtler, and it's the one I want you to actually hear. The old version of you was safe. Everybody knew the rules. Change is expensive not because it's hard but because it disappoints people who like the old arrangement. The moment you stop being the reliable one who never says no, somebody in your life is going to be irritated. And you know that. So you stay. So here's what you do today, and it's smaller than you're expecting. Take a piece of paper. Write down 3 sentences that begin with "I'm the kind of person who," and just let them come out. Don't edit. Whatever arrives is what's running the machine. Now look at each one and ask a single question. Who said that first? Not whether it's true. Who said it first? Half of them will have a face attached. A parent, a teacher, an ex, a version of you at 19 who had almost no information. Then pick the one that costs you the most, and today, do one small thing that contradicts it. If you're not a person who speaks up, send one email you'd normally soften. If you're not creative, make one bad thing on purpose. Small, almost embarrassingly small. Because identity doesn't change through insight. It changes through evidence, and evidence is built one contradiction at a time. You don't argue your way out of an old identity. You outvote it. And here's what nobody warns you about. The moment you set that first weight down, you'll notice a second one you didn't know was underneath it. That's the next thing we're taking out of the pack. And it's the one people fight me hardest on. The second thing you're going to set down today is the need to be understood. This one is going to sting a little, so let me build it carefully. There's a conversation you keep rehearsing. You know the one. In the shower, in the car, at 2 in the morning when the house is quiet. You're explaining yourself to someone. You're laying out the evidence, calmly, brilliantly, and in this version they finally get it. They finally see that you weren't the villain, that you were doing your best, that there was context they never asked about. You've had that conversation 100 times in your head and 0 times in your life. And notice what happens every time you finish it. You feel a flicker of relief. And then you feel worse, because a rehearsed vindication is a debt that never clears. You pay it every night and the balance never moves. Here's why people fail at this one. They think letting go of the need to be understood means accepting the lie. It doesn't. You can know the truth with total clarity and still stop demanding that someone else agree to it. Those are separate acts. Most people fuse them together and then refuse to let go. Because letting go feels like signing a confession. It isn't a confession. It's a resignation. You're resigning from the job of managing what lives inside another person's head, a job you were never hired for, never paid for, and were never going to be good at. Because nobody is. There's a second reason, and it's harder to admit. Being misunderstood is a kind of company. As long as there's someone out there who owes you an apology, the relationship isn't over. The grudge is a thread, and you'd rather have a thread than nothing. Here's the work for today. Write the letter. Actually write it, the whole thing. Everything you've been rehearsing, the entire case. Don't be graceful about it. Be as unfair and specific and raw as you want, because nobody is going to read it. Get it out of your head and onto something physical, because a thought you can't hold is a thought that can hold you. And then don't send it. Fold it, and put it in a drawer, or tear it up, whichever one your gut wants. Then do one more thing. And this is the part that actually moves something. Say out loud, to nobody, they may never understand, and I'm going forward anyway. Say it once. Notice you didn't die. Because here's the truth underneath all of it. The people who understand you will not require the explanation, and the people who require the explanation were never going to understand. You've been building a bridge to an island nobody lives on. Now, there's a reason you've been holding onto that grudge so tightly, and it's not the person. It's the story you built around them. Which brings us to the heaviest thing in the entire pack. The third thing you're going to set down today is the plan that already died. Somewhere in you is a timeline. You may not have written it down, but it exists, and you can feel it. By this age, this. By that age, that. Married by then. Established by then. The house, the title, the number in the account, the version of your life that was supposed to be running by now. And somewhere along the way, that timeline broke. Maybe it broke loudly: an illness, a layoff, a divorce, a death. Or maybe it broke the way most of them break, which is silently, over about 4 years. While you were busy handling things. Here's the struggle almost nobody names. You're not grieving what happened to you. You're grieving what was supposed to happen and didn't. And that grief has no ceremony. Nobody sends flowers when a plan dies. There's no funeral for the life you thought you'd have. So it sits in you, unprocessed, for years, and it comes out sideways as irritation at people younger than you, as a strange flatness at other people's good news. As that thing where you can't fully enjoy what you actually have. Why do people fail here? Because releasing the old plan feels like admitting the years spent on it were wasted. And you can't stomach that. So you keep the plan on life support. You tell yourself you'll get back to it. You keep the guitar. You keep the business cards. You keep the timeline alive so the loss stays theoretical. But a plan on life support doesn't just take up space. It contaminates the present. Every good thing that happens in your actual life gets measured against the life that didn't happen, and it always loses. Because the imaginary version never had to survive contact with reality. So here's today's work, and I want you to be precise about it. Name the plan out loud. Specifically, not things didn't work out. Say the actual thing. I was going to have my own place by 35. I was going to be a musician. We were going to grow old together. Say the real one. The one that makes your throat tighten. Then give it 30 seconds of honest grief. Not an hour. Not a week. 30 seconds where you don't reframe it. Don't find the silver lining. Don't say everything happens for a reason. Just let it be what it is, a real loss. And then ask one question, and write the answer down. What did that plan actually want for me? Underneath every dead plan there's a live need. The plan wanted security, or expression, or belonging, or respect. The plan is dead. The need is not. The need can be met 100 other ways, and at least 3 of them are available to you this year. Grieve the route. Keep the destination. Music. Now, once you set that down, something uncomfortable happens. Space opens up. And most people can't tolerate space, they fill it immediately with the 4th thing, which is the one you're carrying right now without noticing. The 4th thing you're going to set down today is the belief that you're behind. Feel where that one lands. There's a clock in you that isn't a real clock. It ticks when you open your phone and someone you went to school with just announced something. It ticks at family gatherings. It ticks in that half second before you fall asleep. And its message is always the same: everyone else is further along, and you missed something. Here's what makes this wait so effective. It disguises itself as motivation. You think the urgency is helping. You think if you ever stopped feeling behind, you'd stop moving entirely, that the anxiety is the engine. So you protect it. You feed it. But look honestly at what it actually produces. Does the feeling of being behind make you start things? Or does it make you avoid things? Be honest. It makes you avoid. Because when you feel this far behind, every small step feels pointless. Why start a 5-year skill at 42? Why begin at all if you can't catch up? The feeling that's supposed to speed you up is the exact feeling that keeps you standing still. And here's the part that should genuinely free you, if you let it. Behind what? Point at it. There is no schedule. There is no cohort. The people you're comparing yourself to are running a completely different course, with a different start line, different terrain, and a highlight reel you're mistaking for a live feed. You're not losing a race. You're standing in a field, convinced it's a track. So today, do this. For 24 hours, mute or unfollow the 5 accounts that reliably make your chest tighten. Not forever. 24 hours. Treat it as an experiment and notice how much of the clock was ambient noise rather than truth. Then write down one thing you did in the last 3 years that the you of 5 years ago would have found impressive. Just one. And be generous. Surviving something counts. Leaving something counts. Showing up when you had nothing left counts. You've been measuring yourself only against what you haven't done, and there's an entire column you never total. And then start the 5-year thing today. Today, 15 minutes. Because the 5 years pass either way, that's not up for negotiation. That's just the calendar doing its job. The only variable is whether you arrive at the end of them holding something. You're not behind. You're just not finished. And there's exactly one thing standing between you and the version of your life you actually want, and it's the last thing in the pack. The one that's been quietly holding all the others in place. The 5th thing you're going to set down today is the waiting. Here it is. The one underneath everything else. You're waiting to feel ready. You're waiting for confidence to arrive first, for the fear to shrink, for the sign, for the funds, for the right season, for the moment when doing the hard thing will feel less like stepping off a ledge. You're waiting to become the kind of person who does that kind of thing. And I want to be very direct with you now, because you've stayed with me this long and you deserve directness. That day is not coming. Confidence is not something that arrives and then you act. Confidence is the residue of having acted. You have the sequence backwards, and almost everyone does, and it costs decades. Readiness is not a feeling you receive. It's a story you tell afterward about something you did while afraid. Here's why this one is so hard to release. Waiting feels responsible. It looks like patience. It sounds like wisdom. I'm being strategic. I'm waiting for the right moment. But there's a simple test that separates the two, and I want you to apply it to whatever you're currently waiting on. Ask, am I waiting for information, or am I waiting for comfort? If there's a specific fact arriving on a specific date that will change your decision, that's patience. If you're waiting to feel differently about it, that's not patience. That's fear wearing a suit. So today, the work is one action. 1. Take the thing you've been circling for months. The call, the application, the conversation, the first payment on the thing you keep researching, and do the smallest irreversible piece of it in the next hour. Irreversible is the key word. Something you can't quietly undo tonight when the fear comes back and offers you a deal. Send it. Book it. Say it out loud to someone who will ask you about it next week. Because you don't get free by understanding this. You get free by moving while unfree, and discovering, the way everyone eventually discovers, that the fear was a doorman, not a wall. Music. Now here's the thing that ties all 5 together. And if you take one idea from this, take this one. You didn't fail. You were loaded. Every single one of these 5, the borrowed identity, the demand to be understood, the dead plan, the phantom clock, the waiting, every one of them is something you've been carrying, not something you are. And that distinction is the whole difference between a life that changes and a life that doesn't. Because you cannot put down who you are, but you can always put down what you're carrying. Always. At any age. On any ordinary Tuesday, in the middle of an unremarkable afternoon, without permission from anyone. The road was never the problem. The road is fine. The road has always been fine. So here's your pack, opened. The version of other people wrote, set it down. Outvote it with evidence. The need to be understood, set it down. Write the letter, don't send it. The plan that died, set it down. Grieve the route, keep the destination. The belief that you're behind, set it down. There is no race, and you were never in it. The waiting, set it down. Confidence comes after, never before. And here is your one instruction, not 5. 1. Before you sleep tonight, pick the heaviest of the 5. You already know which one it is. You knew by the second minute of this, and take one physical action against it today. Not a plan, not a resolution. An action. Something that exists in the world after you've done it. Because 5 years from now, you will be somewhere. That part is already decided. The calendar doesn't ask permission. The only thing still open is what you're carrying when you arrive. Nobody is coming to lighten your load, and nobody has to. You've had the straps in your hands this entire time. Set it down. Start walking.